and I need some photocopies made of these cheat codes for video games or something, right? Right? Now, you're watching all of this from a distance. You're watching this from the next office over. That the president walked in with this unqualified candidate and is now replacing the candidate who's given his entire life for that job. What do you see next? Him? Who's he? Has he even graduated high school? Are you kidding me? You can't be serious. That can't be right. I've given my entire life to this company. You can't just replace me like that. And everybody else, by the way, everybody watching this scene, who do they tend to side with? I mean, if I was there, I'd side with the poor VP. Man, that doesn't sound fair. This guy, he did a lot of work. Why should he not get the promotion? Why shouldn't he keep his job? How come he's being fired with this unqualified rookie? But I'm not telling you the story of some VP, am I? And if you think of it like this, it's kind of scary, because I don't want you to sympathize with shaitan. I don't. But I put it to you in this way because we think of stories in the Quran like these characters that didn't really exist. These are very real situations. This really happened. And when shaitan presented his counter-argument, I want you to appreciate his frustration. And I want you to appreciate what he said. You know his argument, right? The argument was based on qualifications. I'll give you another, before we come and wrap this up, I want to give you another part of this story. Here's my other story. Another employee in this company. He's hired, he's doing okay, he's doing well. He hasn't done anything wrong or anything. There's a memo that was sent to the entire company that he's going to be transferred out of the company to some obscure location, New Mexico or something. Okay, he's about to be transferred. Everybody knows he's about to be transferred. The only one who doesn't know he's about to be transferred is him. And the boss comes to him and he says, hey, don't come late to work. He says, okay, fine, I won't come late to work. He doesn't come late ever. Comes in late one day. One day he comes in late. The boss says, I told you not to come in late to work. I'm sorry, you're being transferred to New Mexico. Okay? Now, was the plan already to send him to New Mexico? Yeah. Now, imagine this. He got a hold of the memo before he came in late that day. Okay? Before he came in, one of the co-workers said, hey, by the way, you're about to be sent to New Mexico. He says, what? That's depressing. So he's thinking about it, he's all sad. He takes a wrong turn, gets late to work. When he gets late to work, his boss says what? Go to New Mexico. He says, wait a second, I'm not going to New Mexico because I came late. You had already made that decision. This is all entrapment. You set this trap for me. It's not my fault. You already knew this. Allah says to the angels, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً في الجنة خليفة وفي الأرض خليفة. وإذ قلنا للملائكة وإذ قال ربك للملائكة, when your Lord said to the angels, I am placing a khalifa in the earth. This ayah and this incident, this quote, this declaration occurs before everything else. Before everything else. Now in Surah Al-A'raf, Iblis comes to Adam alayhi salam. He says, by the way, what's about to happen? Basically, in between the lines, what we're being told in Surah Al-A'raf is, the offer of Iblis is, أَن تَكُونَ مَلَكَيْنِ أَوْ تَكُونَ مِنَ الْخَالِدِينَ. Either you will become angels if you eat from this tree, or you will become from what? Permanent residents. In between the lines, permanent residents where? Jannah. Why would he be interested in that? Because there's already an announcement made that Adam is going where? The earth. Now I'm sharing all of this with you because Adam a.s. could turn around and say what? Allah already knew I was going to go where? The earth. As a punishment for eating the tree, by the way, where was Adam a.s. and our mother and Iblis sent? Where were they sent? Earth. He could say Allah already knew. I'm sharing all of this with you for this reason. You have met people that say, if Allah already knows what I'm going to do, why is it my fault? The first person who could have asked that question is who? This is not a new question. The possibility of asking that question existed then. Now I'm wrapping it up. Iblis could have had an intellectual reason. I shouldn't be demoted because he's made of clay. Intellectual reason. Adam a.s. could have presented an intellectual reason in his defense. Look at this comparison. Adam a.s. was honored by Allah. Was Iblis ever honored by Allah too? Ever? Yes. Adam a.s. was given a rank above the angels. Was Iblis ever given this? Adam a.s. at one point disobeyed his Lord. Did Iblis also disobey his Lord? Sure. Adam a.s. had the ability to make choices. Did Iblis also have that ability? Sure. There's a lot in common. There's a lot in common. The thing that makes them different is not the mistake, but what happens after the mistake. On the one hand, there is one who believes that through their intellect, they can challenge Allah's decision and say, no, 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 I have good reason for disobeying you. I have a reason. He's made of clay. And on the other hand, no matter how much his intellect might even tell him that I could argue in my defense that this is entrapment, what does he say? رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. We wronged ourselves. He gives up his intellect before the Lord of the worlds because he knows no matter how smart he thinks he is, who is the all-knowing? Allah. Who is the owner of all wisdom? Allah Azza wa Jal. So just because I can't wrap it in my head, doesn't mean it doesn't make sense. It is beyond me. And I trust Allah. So He is forgiven and the others cursed. This story occurs in the Quran 7 times. 7 times. If you read a juz a day, you'll run into it 3-4 days. Every 3-4 days you'll run into this story. You and I are being reminded not just, you'll say, I know the characters, I know what happened already. Let me move on to the next ayat. But wait, you and I are being reminded that both you and I, we make mistakes. We make mistakes. And what will make us different, what will make us like Adam, a.s., who was forgiven, is if we act like Adam, and if we don't act like Adam, we're acting like Iblis. We've got 2 options. We could justify our mistake, we could present rational explanations. Times have changed, I was in a difficult situation, you don't really understand what I'm going through, blah, 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 blah. You could just go on and on and on giving rationalizations. Whose legacy are you following? Iblis. You're being reminded in a very powerful way. Take a seat back. Be like Adam a.s. So it's not just a story, it is counsel. It's counsel. You know the story of Yusuf? Very famous. Everybody knows the story, right? Just again, just a simple example of how we take things for guidance. Allah Azza wa Jalla in Surah Yusuf, He tells us, Yusuf a.s. obviously the good guy. Who are the bad guys in the story? The brothers. And we think of a story like fictional. Good guys, bad guys, additional characters, plot, subplot, right? Introduction and body and conclusion. We think of it like a generic story. These are real people. People aren't bad or good. People do bad things and do good things. You know, they're people. Umar radiallahu anhu is not a bad person. He did really bad stuff. And then he became Muslim. We don't make sweeping statements about people. But you know, when we oversimplify, and we think about it, okay, in the Quran, these brothers were bad, they were messed up. Did they eventually make tawbah though? Yeah, so they're not exactly the bad guys. And on top of this, I mean, you know, I think a lot about Surah Yusuf because when I travel, a lot of times I try to expose people of the problems our youth in the Muslim community are facing, right? And I say, Muslims, our youth are really having a hard time. And one brother gets up and says, we came from a good Muslim family. Our kids don't do these things, brother. You're painting a very dark picture. After all, my great-grandfather was a sheikh. And my grandfather was a hafiz. And then my father was a muhaddith.